Okay, so today I want to talk about risk taking, right? When people think of term of risk taking, people associate with physical actions or physical actions or um, risk taking to build your future or building something that you truly want or you're going after it. You're building that, but in that you might lose time and effort and energy. You don't know. You don't there could be a possibility that it might not work out, right? And that's why we take that gamble because we don't want to live a life that what's the average person is doing because that's why we do what we do, isn't it? And also for me, I'm also taking a form of risk, right? Because for me, when I put my ideas or video out there, it's a form of risk. People don't think that is, but today I want to talk about it in a deeper form because people don't know how I feel. People because I never talk about it because I don't communicate that with the world. I only um, put the idea out there. And so in this book by Justin Perry, I wish I knew this 20 years ago. One thing about this life is that if you don't take any risks, is that you end up staying exactly where you are. You have to get out and take risk and take chances. So I am putting my thoughts, energy, effort, and oftentimes this is for free, right? And if people who haven't put forth the effort to put time and energy to build something that they don't understand, right? But for me, I'm putting myself out there so I can change the world because I want to do that. But also, I want to live a life that I want to uh, not waste my life like other people, right? So when you're an entrepreneur or when people are entrepreneur they're listening to this or whether they're not entrepreneur they're listening to these ideas, right? And they'll scrutinize it, and then oftentimes when entrepreneur create content or whatever blog or oftentimes we think that our ideas are the best, so we put forth, right, the effort. And sometimes people have for me, I might think my ideas are the best right now, but it might not be in the toward the future because it might, like, if I listen to this, like, let's say 5 years forward, I would cringe. Just like if you create your first book or because I listened to Dan Gurias or whatever, he said he wished that he waited to write his first book because he cringed while he don't want to he cringed because that was his first book. And while the millionaire, what was it, I forgot what it was, habits or something, that he created, that he grown so much because you grown, you people don't let you do that because most oftentimes we held on ideas for so long, right? That we hold, just like in the Asian culture, they hold their ideas so long, they think that's true for everybody, but it's not, right? And so they hold that idea, and so they think that their idea is the best, or but there are different ways to see it, and oftentimes they don't they want to see it their way, and we all do, right? That's why we put forth the energy creating that. And my ideas not might be the best, but I want to grow. I want to say something because all the cost of me not saying, because people, if you're helping, if you're in the business of helping other people, you will risk offending people, right? For me, oftentimes when I talk about my ideas or creating content, I am afraid as hell. People don't understand that. People don't know how I feel about it. Oftentimes people think, oh, I just say things just to say things. No. Every time I say something, when I put a video out, people think I don't think. I do think because it could affect people, right? And I'm afraid that I will offend someone because it will hurt their feelings because oftentimes their ideas are the best, and my ideas aren't, they think it's not the best. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you can look at this in a different way because I have experience in this way, right? And that they might not have experienced that, or they have different experiences, right? So when people hedge, so oftentimes when we care about someone, we hedge, right? Because we don't want to offend them, we don't want to hurt their feelings. But oftentimes that hedging, that holding the people often say you should think before you speak. Oftentimes that's wrong because you're holding yourself back from saying something you should have said in the beginning because you were afraid that it will hurt the other person. And oftentimes I'm afraid of hurting uh, people's feelings um, because they think that their ideas are the best. And sometimes we can look at a different way. We can disagree, but we can respect each other, right? And so people don't know how I feel. So when I put for a video out and when I say something inside, I felt like, oh shit, I shouldn't say that. Like it will hurt other people's feelings. I feel that every time when I say something and I think about it, my feelings say, oh shit, it's gonna hurt someone's feelings. It's gonna hurt someone. And I don't want that. But I end up saying it anyway and I put it out there and I'm afraid. That's a form of risk taking. I'm not hedging. If I end up hedging, that's gonna not saving a life. That's not changing perspective because in the book, Evan Carmichael, Your One Word, he said, if you care about your life, then being mediocre should be insulting. At the risk of offending you, I'm using strong language intentionally. This has to be important to you. If it's important, then you will change. If it's important to you, make it priority. If it's important, you face your fears. So for me, in order to get my ideas out or my inner world out, I'm using words to build a bridge between my world to your inner world. And I'm transferring my world to your world, right? Now, oftentimes we think that, since we've been exposure to so many personal development ideas, we think that it's right. But sometimes the personal development things aren't right. Sometimes we can look at a different way. So let me tell you a story that I want to talk about that people hedge oftentimes. Um, so now I remember this was when I was 19, right? Very young. And when you're in the first relationship, you don't know what you're doing. You think you do, but you don't. So this is like way back, man. I'm young. So this is my first relationship I got into, and I remember the words. She was on the my ex was on the bench, and she told me if we love each other, we trust each other, right? And oftentimes, uh, I wish that she say something sooner than later, right? I wish people say something sooner than later, because later, like if they say it sooner, they could have um, let me know so I can change, right? But they don't let me know, so they keep it inside. They keep it because people often say they rather not say anything. They rather to keep the peace. If I can't read people mind, I can't do that. I like sure we have intuition, but ultimately you have to use words to bridge the gap to your inner world to my world so I understand. Because how can I understand how you're feeling if you don't talk? So that's why people say things like don't keep the peace. But when you end up keeping the peace, you end up causing the person um, uh, to see what you see and how you feel. Because oftentimes the person don't know how you feel or how you see. So toward the end, I wish she say something sooner. I wish she say something that I could change my behavior because of that, but she didn't. So I'm sad about that, and it still hurt me toward the end. Like it hurt me, right? Because she told my friend about how she think. Now most people, I don't do this, but she think that because I have many friends back in the trade school, boarding school, I have many friends that are girls, and I usually uh, it's not right, right? It's not right now. It's not right to do that. Like people, but I did not know that. Because for me, I think they're just friends. They're nothing more than just friends. Nothing more, nothing less, right? And they're friends. And but for me, I love her, not them, right? That's the problem. Like for me, um, my ex, I always think about her and I love her, but that's why I felt inside like, what? How can you say that? Like I always care about you, I always love you, and I always think about you. How could you say that? and it's very hurtful, right? And I wish she say something like that. I wish she say something earlier. So she told my friend um, that he's always playing with girls, and I was like, in my head, I was like, no, I'm not. But in her eyes, I am. But I'm not. Like, I'm joking with them, but I don't have feelings for them, right? But now I know that I shouldn't do that, right? But I wish that she told me early on in the relationship. So it ended up costing that. And that made me sad. That made me sad because to hear the love of your, or was the love of your life, to hear that, to say that, while it wasn't true. While I see them as friends and I have no feelings toward them and I don't even love them. I mean, I like them as a friend, but I don't love them. I don't have any affection for them, right? I don't have anything. I don't have affection for her, love for her, and care for her at that time. And so oftentimes people hedge. And I wish that people don't hedge. Because sometimes it could save your relationship life. And sometimes it could save a life. But people hedge. People say things. People say you should think before you say, or think before you speak. You know, when I was young, I used to say stupid shit all the time. It probably offended a lot of people. Like I curse a lot. I curse a lot. I probably offended a teacher. I probably offended somebody. I probably offended a lot of people when I was a kid. But when you risk not saying anything, you risk. When you're not saying anything, you risk hurting other people that you care about. I'd rather you say something to the person that you care about now or not later because you hedge. Now it's not easy. It never is. Because you're afraid what they might think of you. Because of course people say you shouldn't care about what people think about you. But the one that you care about the most, of course you do. You care, like, I care about what my mom think. It's scary. Like, shoot. Like, I care because they're my family. Usually, family, when you say something and, of course you care. And if you care about that person, say something. And that's why I wish people... Anyway, I'm getting too emotional. Anyway, so my point being is that we're all taking a form of risk, right? That uh, whether it's to change the world, we're taking a form of risk. To change somebody else's life, that's a form of risk that we're taking because we don't know what will happen. But we take that risk anyway, right? And I'm putting forth the content because it could save a life and it's building my future, and and that's what I want to do. But because not me putting the forth the risk, I'm not growing. And yes, I am afraid, right? What? I'm not Superman. Well, actually, Superman, even though he's like Man of Steel, but he also get hurt. His emotional get hurt because oftentimes Superman. Have you ever noticed that all the people that he ever loved also sometimes they die, right? And yeah, every superhero get hurt. Every hero, every person get hurt. But you rather say something than not. That's my thoughts to this. Excuse me.